AI in operational technology. It's a very exciting conversation, and I'm really pleased to welcome Rita and Paul Flick from CSIRO. And thank you for joining us, Rita. Thank you for joining us, Paul.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. We're super excited to be here and talking AI in OT.
Yes. Well, look, we'll get right into it. And just some background on Rita. Rita Arrigo is the Strategic Engagement Manager at CSIRO, the National AI Centre, focused on leading the AI ecosystem strategy to foster engagement and collaboration to lift Australia's global AI adoption. A sought-after speaker for many years on all things AI, innovation and digital, Rita is a renowned digital strategist with a reputation for her ability to lead digital and AI transformation projects. Rita, that sounds very exciting. I think that's almost the role I want to do. That's fantastic. Please tell us, really, how did you get to this point in your career?
Well, I originally studied engineering and but I never actually worked as an engineer for quite a while. But I got into technology and I just really was amazed by the way technology can really empower us. And during my time at Microsoft, I got really into AI and the way it can really change our relationship with our world around, empowering people with disabilities, helping us with our smart spaces, and as well, really thinking about our critical industries and our manufacturing. So that's how I kind of went on that journey of loving AI and getting involved in that space.
Yeah, no, thanks. And look, that sounds very exciting. I really like the thought leader sentiments and the driving of innovation. Very much change agent, So certainly very excited to have you. Paul. So Paul is a senior project leader with the Robotics and Autonomous Systems Group at CSIRO, Data 61. Paul is also the Boeing and Manufacturing Cluster Leader, which enables him to oversee the proposals and projects within this area for autonomous systems. He has a bachelor's degree in mechatronic engineering at USQ and joined CSIRO in 2005. Comes originally out of a CNC manufacturer in advanced robotics. Paul, really wonderful to have you here. Wow, sounds like some really great achievements. What drove you to this point in your career?
Always been interested in engineering and being able to actually deploy things in real world scenarios. It certainly meant that as a kid, I was always breaking things, sure. But certainly as I've been able to sort of get into engineering and 3D printing and developing new tech and systems that solve real problems, that's really what drives me. And that's the reason why a lot of the things I've had really want to make sure it's got that real world impact and that real world change that's going to sort of happen through IT and AI.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for sharing. And I really liked how you touched on, being a kid and how you would break things. I think I can remember in my home, I think I just dismantled everything and never ever put it back together. I used to just be such an annoyance to my parents. But let's talk about the topic of AI in operational technology. A very exciting topic. It's a hot topic. Everyone is talking about it. And really what we want to be able to do is see how can the operational technology landscape really leverage AI, and not just AI, but maybe that responsible use of AI, so that we can really drive a difference. I mean, ultimately, we are looking at becoming more connected. We want to be more reliable. We want to be more secure. We see that there are great levels of efficiency. So maybe I could start, Rita, with you. AI seems like such a black box. What are some of the challenges that you may be seeing in implementing AI in that OT landscape?
I think that one of the biggest challenges is the kind of this balancing of IT and OT. So the IT people are traditionally the ones that have worked playing with the data, and the OT have had more traditional methodologies. So it's like being able to bring some of those IT skills into OT. But a key example in the AI space is, for example, in optical systems. So we know we use optical systems for understanding quality, and often people have difficulty in implementing them because there's not enough data around it. But But now what's happening with AI and this new type of AI that we have, generative AI, you can kind of start to create more synthetic data, for example, to really kind of drive your models and mature your models to make sure that they're giving you the right results in the OT space. And so this has been a great advancement in OT. And I think with OT, it's also about, bringing the change into it and thinking about it in an innovative way, because that can really drive new types of productivity in manufacturing and critical industries.
No, fantastic. Thanks so much for sharing. I really like that point that you touched on just regarding data and that synthetic data piece. Paul, any thoughts, that when you hear a question like this that comes to mind of really how can we address some of those challenges of implementing AI in OT?
Yeah, I come from it from probably a bit more the engineering and applied sort of side, and certainly what's important is having that technology as it's sort of coming out. Microprocessors or computes in the cameras and the sensors are actually becoming available. That's going to mean that a lot more AI is going to be able to be used in many different fields. So you don't get that huge amount of data and then you have to try and sift through it. It's actually supplying the information you want to make what you do easier.
Fantastic. No, thanks so much for sharing. And Rita, one of the things is we all have this desire to improve our industries and our business. What should industrial organizations be doing to improve their AI capability and adoption?
Well, I think one of the key areas is to really look at it in terms of, an innovation pipeline. And I think sometimes when we think about innovation, we always think about these big ideas and these big things we want to solve. But sometimes to get confidence, you got to focus on the little ones. And so you got to get some quick wins that are cost effective so that you can then get the business case to do the bigger ones and the bigger ones. So I find that kind of agile approach can be a lot more exciting in this OT space, because not only does it allow you to get results, but it also allows you to learn as you work through the different challenges that you have.
That's a great insight. Great insight. And Paul, from yourself, anything that you would like to add?
I think the next step is the quick wins. Like cameras are that technology's been around a long time, and that's certainly a really great one to leverage from. But mind you, as we go to that next big transformation, it's how do these all interconnect? How do we actually get the data from multiple different sensors? It could be camera, it could be a thermal camera, it could be just even a limit switch. How does that all come together and actually give you that information you need to make your business really a lot more efficient and safe, and whichever application?
In this, you touched on some technology footprints there. One of the areas maybe that we have this tendency to struggle with is really, how do we get started? Maybe Rita, what do you think is the most effective ways where we can identify some entry points for the use of AI in OT?
I've actually seen a lot of interest from OHS style solutions where you're not just focusing on the productivity aspects, but you're also focusing on safety. And that can be a really exciting way to bring it in, because if you start reducing the accidents and improving the safety of your employees, then that really kind of creates a groundswell. So I've seen a lot of interest in that area to kind of look at the ways that you can reduce accidents and improve safety by using AI. Some people say that in the future, you probably won't even want to go to work unless there was a camera making sure that you're going to be safe. And so these technologies can provide some really exciting opportunities for people working in these environments.
And one example I'd have in that same area when you get used to using AI is like when you're driving a car these days and you jump into a car without the reversing camera. It's like, how do I drive this again? We become very used to it. And that's when you've got a really winning solution, is that it makes your life a lot easier. It's a part of how you operate that machine or that system, and that gives you that added information you wouldn't normally have.
So true. And I mean, you're talking about these things. What comes to mind here is AI actually has that ability to remove that blind spot. And I think maybe the key part here is just the blind spots that we don't know that we have.
Yeah.
It could identify using that synthetic data, multiple technologies coming together, starting small, looking at the quick and simple wins. It could have really massive impact. Yeah. And I think maybe that's why the topic is so exciting, and why there's so much interest around AI and OT. So maybe just a final question for this conversation, and maybe I'll ask this one to Paul. Just Paul, from your experience, who have come up as stakeholders, the people that you're finding that hold the interest within customer organizations for industrial-based implementation of AI and OT?
There's a couple of different aspects that I've sort of come across. Certainly safety is sort of one of them that is certainly starting to be the current edge, where previously it was a lot more of that literal process monitoring and that sort of area. And a lot of those technologies in the process monitoring are very understood and used in day-to-day life. But mind you, HSE, it's a newer sort of problem where they're used to working with humans, and that is where it starts to get quite interesting, where you've got to actually develop something that works with a person, not just works with the robot or works with the system and is part of that system. It's got to work with people and solve their use case they're trying to do.
Do you have a view just in terms of, we've identified one particular stakeholder in HSE that, you see that this could be a major help. Are you also seeing expanded roles come around that, that may get behind it and really act as sponsors behind, solutions that you mentioned here with HSE?
I certainly think the a couple of different ones have happened that I've seen is that certainly having what we call a dojo or a place where people on the ground actually can be responsible for safety and actually try new IT things to put into their factory or whatever it is. Certainly having those as key points to get on the factory floor and actually try this new technology for that good, so that they're actually part of what's being in their workforce to help them. That's been really powerful. Certainly HSE, I think, in regards to the roles and requirements around HSE, you got to have a lot more knowledge in IT and AI and OT to actually make sure that your job you're doing is to the best level you can do.
Yes, no, excellent. Thanks so much. And I mean, Rita, any of those further stakeholders that you may have identified that could be key players of, having that AI and OT conversation?
Yeah, I'm finding that AI is a discussion that the whole business wants to have. It's not just going to the OT people, to the IT people. It really is about productivity and, innovation and enhancing your product. An example might be what's happening in the car industry at the moment, where, car manufacturing plants are being completely redesigned so that they can work with robots and they can start to make the very much in demand EV vehicles. And so these factories are being built completely virtually before they're actually being created in the real world. So you start to imagine that now it's like the CEO, it's like the people who are going to invest in this stuff that gets involved, because it actually happens before the manufacturing, before you actually build the factory. So all your designs and everything are all simulated before you actually construct. So you really start to see that it's not just about the people on the ground. It's about senior management, risk officers, legals, everyone that's going to be involved in that AI practice.
Including product design, where they can be guided by AI and things like that to go, how can I put a sensor in that system, find out more information that I would never have thought of.
And if there's one thing that we are very clear about is Industry 4 is not a singular thing.
Yep.
Right, and I think we try and get our heads around it. But what we actually find, it's a combination of core technologies. You touched on simulation, and you may be really referencing the digital twin side of things. Mm-hmm. We're talking about AI. We talk about camera-based technologies or edge-based technologies or edge intelligence. We're starting to talk about connectivity to a cloud. We start really talk about a foundation of connectivity. It's really the combination of multiple technologies coming together that really derives that new value.
Bring in your robotics and your autonomous systems and optical systems and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's super exciting, the future of Industry 4.0 with AI mixed together.
Wow,
And
wow.
certainly you wouldn't have Industry 4.0 without AI, without OT, without all these components coming together.
No, fantastic. Well, hey, I really want to thank you both for being here today. I think you've certainly taken me to a new level of excitement of just really understanding some of those potentials in AI. Yeah, we certainly want to thank Rita, thank you, Paul, CSIRO, for your contributions.
And I'd like to thank medicine. So thank you so much for being open to these discussions.